Hello and welcome to Take Me Through Your Day. This episode is essentially a continuation of the last one. It is with my brother, and that's who the other voice was in the previous episode, if you listen to that. He's the one that does all of the technical work on this podcast. Like, I do the interviews and book the guests for the most part, but he does all of the technical side of everything, and the only reason you're hearing this at all right now is because of him. So he's gonna take on a bigger role and jump in on as many of these IT episodes as I can get him for. And in season 3 he's gonna do a couple solo episodes, or as many as we can get. So just a heads up for that. You can get familiar. He's creating a separate playlist for all of these IT jobs because there's so many of them and they're so different, and I really don't know enough about it to ask the right questions, and I think he's the perfect person to do exactly that. So you'll see CapsLocked in a lot of the titles for the IT episodes. That's just a separate playlist on YouTube, in case you were wondering. That's what that is. So saying this is a continuation of the last episode is meaning it's just information technology. The jobs are completely different. They're in completely different states. They really don't have anything to do with each other. But I feel like I got a lot more out of the episode having them both sit in at the same time. So with him being the focal point of this episode, our last guest is also sitting in on this one. And if you listen to that, it'll all make sense. No big deal. But he is an IT asset manager. And without further ado, I will give you that episode right now. So, as per usual, you're available on all social media at TakeMeTYD and at TakeMeTYD@gmail. In case you want to be interviewed, or you know someone that wants to be interviewed, or you just want to pass a little information along, and enjoy the show.
So my full title is IT Asset Management Specialist.
Okay, so what do you do exactly? Just give me a rough idea of what the job entails.
So there's a group of 4 of us, and this is for a university that we do the IT purchasing for.
Yeah.
So anything technology related, so computers, monitors, printers, anything relating to that. And there's a team of 4 of us, because you don't need a whole huge team for this, but you definitely need more than one person just because of the sheer amount of equipment.
The amount of equipment is based
university.
on how many people are there, so how many people technically are employed.
It's across a campus. It's a pretty big university. I couldn't give you a specific number on
Yeah, there's publicly used computers by students and stuff, but you don't know how many faculty members there are, roughly?
Not specifically, not because there's so many different departments. I'd say there's probably 50 to 100 at least in just our building alone, and that's just considered Office of Information Technology. The OIT department is what they call it. And there's in our university specifically, they actually split off the Arts and Sciences Technology department, so they go through us, but they do all their own stuff. It's a very weird dynamic, but coming back to the actual purchasing and stuff, that's what my job is.
Well, the 4 of you on the team, do you all do the exact that, or did you cover different ground in kind of the same area?
So there's 2 of us right now that run the warehouse, and I say just quote unquote warehouse. It's just a storage area. It's not like we have a ton of customers coming in and out of or anything like that and shipping out and stuff. It's just bare bones. We keep stock of little batteries, big batteries for UPSs.
What is
cables.
a UPS? Because this got brought up in another episode. Can you explain to me, who knows nothing about technology, what that is?
It's pretty much the battery backup for a server in its most general sense.
In my head, I keep going to surge protector. Is it anything like a surge protector?
It has
the acronym,
capabilities.
I believe, is uninterruptible power supply. I can confirm that, though.
Oh, okay. See, there you go.
Jamie, can you confirm that? But so we have stock of all this stuff because if something breaks on the server end, they need to come to our warehouse and get it to replace it, stuff like that.
That is confirmed.
Okay.
Interruptible power supply. That's what I didn't want to give false information, but yeah, that's what it is.
So we have backups for those, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't even know all the server equipment that we have. Typically, they have, and everything's very departmentalized here, especially because of all the money that comes in through a university.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we even have a purchasing department that's like, they have a purchasing department and then they have a technology purchasing department, which is what I'm part of.
Okay.
So we do anything technology related. And there's two of us running the warehouse and doing a lot of the grunt work, like if someone needs to send something back with an RMA and we need to wait for a replacement, we keep track of that.
What is RMA?
It's like, I can't remember the acronym for it, but
Well,
it's
just
something.
It's a return.
Yeah, it's just a return.
Okay, I
return
thought
to
so.
manufacturer.
Yeah,
essentially.
if you send something back to Amazon, and you're like getting it fixed or something like that, it's technically considered an RMA or something like that.
Yeah, it's a return for refund or repair.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
again, I can look up the exact acronym.
It's so nice to have a producer on hand.
You're welcome.
so it's a lot of the grunt work, and then there's someone managing us for the most part that does the bigger, high end stuff. That's like software purchases. Like they talk to Microsoft directly to
Okay.
buy the bulk licenses, because obviously we have a ton of computers that we need to keep track of.
Return merchandise authorization.
Yeah, some sort of authorization.
Call me Gary.
So that's two. That's the two of you. So what do the other two people on your team do?
So there was one of our employees of the four of us that was pretty much hired to babysit the company that we hired to run our printing services on the campus, which is kind of ridiculous considering the amount of money we pay them to begin with. Then they pretty much pushed this girl into a position where she just babysits them.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. Like that's a big subject. I've never met a printer I liked in my entire life. They're all pieces of shit, if you ask me.
Because they're all made by 4-year-old Chinese kids in Mexico.
Well, no, how does that work?
It's all a big monopoly. I mean, Xerox runs it. No one else is coming in and trying to fight Xerox.
A lot of companies. I mean, Dell essentially uses Brother components now. Dell makes Dell printers. They're pretty much clone of Brother printers. Like that's what they are.
It's all. It's an oligopoly, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's everyone behind closed doors saying, "Oh, we're not changing the market because this is where we're making money." It's like, why are we still selling toner? Because we're making money on it. It's a waste.
That's why printers cost so little. If you see a lot of sales on printers, you'll see a printer will be $30-$40. Well, that's because the replacement cartridge is $50.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
ridiculous.
make money on parts. They don't make money on the actual device. That's why the devices themselves are so cheap. They're meant to break. They're meant to have parts replaced.
Yeah, and you'd think that
it's a business model.
You'd think that even on a higher scale, like we have to have certain printers on the university need to be running constantly, and like have to be up, especially for like finals week and stuff. And they don't. There's no special. It's the same shit that you deal with at home. Oh, there's a streak on my page, and we have to call a service tech out because if you open up that printer, they're all different. You have to have a certified tech to look at it. There's warranty things. There's a lot to it. So to come back to our team, there's one person managing us, the other three of us. There's one person pretty much babysitting the whole printing service company, and she does a lot of I'd say some administrative stuff too. For the CIOs, the ACIO, and then there's me and my immediate coworker. We both technically we have the same title, but we're pretty good at delegating.
Okay.
The tasks out because there was one person doing both of our jobs, and they decided to pull two in to try to get a better dynamic going.
Fair enough.
We make a pretty good team, delegating the.
Yeah, you should never have one person that knows how to do that job, because if you have one person that only knows how to do that job, when that person's not there, who do you go to?
Yeah, there was a lot. There's a lot, and I'm surprised. I don't know how he did it, to be honest with you, because it's coming in. There's a couple of days, where we know the other person's going to be off the whole day. And, like, first of all, trying to pick up the tasks of the other person. Like, well, where'd you leave off with this? Luckily, we try to keep a pretty good dynamic on that. But, I mean, there's just... Now there's just so much stuff. So much stuff. And now,
is it just because of the time of the year?
It's just... Their technology's constantly changing, so they want to keep improving their services across campus.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing, if you hear me say customer at all, we're referring to other departments and staff on the university
Okay.
because they're technically our customers. Quote, like they're paying the IT department for our services.
Yeah. And now, is this a job that you had to get a specific degree for, or have some minimum requirements of schooling?
This is one of those weird things that's like you don't think it exists until you roll into it. Like I was just applying to everything at this university because I wanted to get a job while I was out there, a job that actually paid me well. And I applied to probably 15 jobs before I got a call back for this one. I even went in for an interview for one of the just tech support guys on the desktop support side.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that, and then a month later they hired me for this one. So, the funny thing is, I only have an associate's degree in just general computer science. I started to go back for the bachelor's degree, but it just wasn't. I'm very big proponent of college to begin with. It's kind of funny working at one, but especially when a lot of the jobs they require you to have a 4-year degree, even for dumb shit.
Most of them required, even though you could have 10 years of experience, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You don't have that degree, you're not getting that job.
Yeah, and I've learned so much more. So
Absolutely.
much more on my own.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, how much of it is degree, and how much of it is just like knowledge of what you're doing.
The thing about IT, just in general, is, I mean, most of the people I know that are in IT, they would tell you, I didn't learn that much that would help me when I was in college. It's kind of like as on a per job basis too, because
I would say more like generalized IT service. You don't really need anything.
Okay.
you just have to. It's kind of just have a knack for it. I mean, it's just like I built a computer. I know what the components do, and I have a knack for it. I actually enjoy technology. I'm not afraid of it either.
You really just have to have the ability to apply yourself and figure out certain solutions to problems. As long as you have the ability to critically think and resolve those issues in a timely manner, you can do that job. Like in a generalized IT department, like in a help desk or support environment.
Yeah.
But until you get into actual specializations, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I'm sure. Obviously, if you're doing some sort of like web page design or website design or graphic design and stuff, I mean, even those, I'd say a lot of those people learn more on their own. Like you can get a subscription to lynda.com or something like that and learn everything you need to know about becoming a website developer.
Depends on what code it's built on. I mean, there's all kinds of different languages out there.
So if you're already proficient in this field, you can essentially teach yourself almost anything.
I'd say
the
so.
internet's there for.
Yeah. you can pretty much learn anything about anything.
Yeah.
Online. I mean, short from, brain surgery.
Yeah.
Or like something like drastic like that. But even then, everything to me, real world experience knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
I learned more in like 6 months of my first actual IT job than I did in the 3 years of schooling I did specific to IT.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of that was, also fluff, considering like you have to take a math, you have to take an English, you have to take.
Yeah.
Gen Ed courses are a little outrageous. Being in my position, going back for your bachelor's, half of the courses I require for my bachelor's are Gen Ed courses. I have to take calculus. I've been in my job for 4+ years. Math has never been involved at that level, or even close to that level. So,
Yeah, I mean, like computer engineering degree, that's a totally different concept than computer science. There's a lot of different IT degrees out there, and when someone goes in for computer science, it's very, very general, extremely general.
Okay, so generally pointless. That's what I'm getting for both of you guys. It's like, you're paying for the...
There's a very specific specialization. I'm sure that college has its, pros for certain people.
the whole point of it is to get that piece of paper. I mean, we know the point of it. It's to get that bachelor's degree so they can give you a job.
Yeah.
And most people that handle, those jobs and hiring the people, they understand that, work experience matters a lot. But when it comes down to it, the people who run the company, want that person to have the education on top of it, and they don't even necessarily know what goes into the education, or how much time was actually spent learning about that specific.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. Like, he works at a university, so I imagine there's more emphasis on having the degree.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere like in the private sector, like what you do, if someone came in with a resume with a bunch of real world experience but no degree whatsoever, and someone came in with a degree but no work experience whatsoever, who do you think they'd hire?
This dependent on what the interviewer has in for that person that's interviewing for the job. Sometimes they'll have, like, for example, like help desk or something. They'll be like, hey, here's an issue. What would you do to resolve it? Like, what are the steps you take? So I mean, they'll test you on little things like that. And if you pass out with flying colors and you come out without not having an education, they're gonna hire you because, well, you know how to do the job. You know how to critically think.
So they want you to prove yourself, essentially. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, good.
In a private environment.
Yeah. In a private sector kind of thing. Okay, back on point here.
You know what the big thing is, though? I realized, so like I said, I had applied to 15 jobs at this university before I even got a call back. And I think the biggest game changer was actually redoing my resume and just going back on the jobs that I did have and just being like, this is specifically how I helped this other company and why I might be a really good fit for your company. Because that was, as soon as I saw that resume, I actually got a call back.
Oh, okay.
The next job I applied for. So I think that's a big proponent, is actually explaining yourself, like how...
Presenting yourself, yeah.
I imagine that type of resume would be a lot more helpful for someone wanting to hire someone.
Getting a job, I mean, people are always like, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. Getting a job is...
Exactly.
Is exactly what it is. Some other person is judging you based off of either one or two pieces of paper and what those two pieces of paper say. Whether or not it's true, some companies will check on that, but whether or not it's true, you can put whatever you want on there and make yourself look appealing, even though you don't really have that experience, or you don't really know about those particular subjects. I think it's, I don't know, it's kind of a poor process in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? No matter what, if a real person, a human being, is hiring you, they're gonna creep on you on Facebook anyways. And see who you are. Like
any kind of internet presence.
If you're on there being an asshole on Facebook, like presenting yourself like an asshole, like that's gonna be a factor.
Mm-hmm. Even little things, even political views are a huge thing.
Oh yeah.
In companies, a lot of the times it's, I saw in my company specifically, there were a good amount of Trump supporters, I should say.
Okay.
But in other places, I've noticed from people where they've told me, it's more of like on the side of the the left wing, like liberal viewpoint. And if you didn't have that viewpoint, people would shut you out.
Oh, in the tech community, you mean?
Yeah, in general within the company, but
all right.
It's kind of political views have poisoned the America.
Well, I try to keep this show very away from any kind of political anything.
Right, but it does get involved in these types of environments.
Oh yeah, and imagine just finding a job and having an internet presence. If you are politically active in any way, someone is going to judge you for that,
right,
regardless of which end of the spectrum you're on. But okay, back to your day. We got a general idea of what you do now. What time do you wake up?
So I wake up typically 6:15, even though I don't have to be at work until 8.
Now, you set an alarm for that, or do you just kind of naturally up?
I've always set an alarm. I've never had an issue waking up with an alarm. Recently, my cat likes to get me up 15 minutes before my alarm anyway, so it might as well be useless.
Fair enough.
I like to do probably more than I need to before I go to work.
What all do you do? Send me through. You get out of bed, then what? What's your first move?
Immediately bathroom. Who doesn't?
That's true.
Like a good 10-minute
100%
toilet meditation.
I got one before and one as soon as you get there. I didn't even think of that.
Well, yeah, work poops are totally another subject. But go to the bathroom. I'll brush my teeth, and then I do a lot of. I hate sitting all day, and I'll get to the standing desk and everything at work too. But I need to get just a little bit of something, movement in the morning. So I'll do like some foam rolling or some stretching in the morning. And then I used to make breakfast, which was a process, and I realized that was probably a big waste of time.
What was it? Give me your process real quick.
It
while
was
we're
just
there.
make some eggs, whether it's, over easy or scramble and throw whatever we had. But it just, doing all that in the morning now, it gets old quick. And now I realize I'll just fast in the morning now until about 11 anyways. But, I'll do that, and then I'll just go upstairs, get ready, and then fill up my water. I bring a good 100 ounces of water to work.
With the fasting, you have coffee or anything, or you just nothing but water till 11?
I love coffee, but I try not to get too addicted to it. Because I used to be able to, I could drink 3 cups of coffee and go to bed. And then one time I took a whole week off of just no coffee. Then I went back to it, and you get a little fidgety.
Yeah.
So now it's just kind of I'll try to do it once or twice a week, and then I'll whatever I feel like on the weekends. Because I don't want to get used to that waking me up in the morning.
Okay, what time do you leave from your place to the university?
I'll leave about 7:30. It's not that long of a drive. It's probably 15 minutes if they're not, destroying the road for some reason.
What do you do with the commute? You listen to anything? Music, podcasts?
Usually I try to listen to something on Audible, just, getting little chunks of it every day.
Okay.
Or if I'm really into a podcast at the time, like a specific one I want to listen to, I'll listen to that. If I'm tired, I just can't seem to get out of a little rut in the morning, I'll just listen to some heavier music and then just on the way and try to wake up a little more. I don't really have an issue waking up. It's just more of a dragging on the day already before I even started.
All right, so you get to work around what time?
I usually get there about 15 minutes early, 10 or 15 minutes early, so 7:50.
All right. What's your first move? You park the car, then what?
Park the car, in which I have to pay for parking, which is ridiculous considering.
You pay per year though, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a student.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
That's
horrible.
They take it out $7 a paycheck or something like that though, which it is what it is. I mean, I guess I can park anywhere on campus now.
Well, okay. Then there's that.
Has its ups and downs, even though it's not a lot of that parking is uptown, quote unquote, because it's one of those towns where the town is built around the university and the university is built around the town. That's the only reason there's people there is because of the university. Well, around it, there's nothing.
Yeah, you can park anywhere on campus. Do you have access to anything else, like a gym or any other perks of being at the university?
Unless I want to pay for it. I mean, I am considered a state employee, which is really nice. State employment is a game changer. I mean, I get when I was applying for the job, it said 2 weeks vacation, but you do the calculations of how much I accrue each paycheck. I get 3 weeks already.
3 weeks and sick days
and sick time.
A bunch of sick time. Sick time, I think, is even more than vacation, isn't it?
It's not more. I don't get more than vacation. And the funny thing is, I don't use sick time. I'm not one to get sick.
It rolls over too. For example, my father never used a sick day in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He got a paycheck.
And he works for this state, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got a paycheck from the state for all his sick time, and it was basically a whole year worth of salary.
Wow,
yes,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Because he never took it. It'll roll over every single year. He'd take vacation, but
the sick days would just pile up.
Yep.
How about that?
It's kind of funny though, because I said there's 2 of us in my immediate office that run the warehouse. We have the same job, but we delegate different things to each other. And she's the one that has a hard time getting up in the morning, so she's 15 minutes late, and I'm 15 minutes early. And then I usually leave 10 minutes early, and she usually leaves 10 minutes late. So it's it's a funny dynamic that they matched us up well enough that it works like that. But yeah, coming back to the state's benefits is incredible. There's hotel benefits, car rental benefits.
Well, we're talking about 2 different states here too, because you were talking about, and we were talking about Pennsylvania before. But are they all kind of similar?
The state benefits are relatively
they're pretty similar.
I don't know if the hotel discounts and stuff are state specific. They might not be.
I don't know.
I think you can stay anywhere.
But in general, pension and vacation and sick time, that most of that's just the same.
Yeah, for state, because
especially on the East Coast.
just
Till you get to the West Coast, it doesn't really change much around here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But there are a lot of benefits to state employment, and I've always been saving money for retirement, and they have their own retirement plan and everything that they pull out of your paycheck before tax and everything, and I set that up thinking they wouldn't be pulling that much. because I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
But I've saved up a decent amount of me not even noticing it on the back end, which is nice. And if I had a long-term plan of staying there, they have, 5 or 6 different options that I could do for retirement too.
Nice.
So there's a lot to it. And I don't even know the ins and outs of it. But
No, we don't need to get into all that stuff. That's not important. So, okay, you get there, you park your car, you go in. What's the first move? Do you just have like an office that you go straight to? Or?
So I usually I'll just get there. I pack a lunch pretty much every day, even if I plan on going out. If somebody flakes, I'll have my lunch with me. I'll stop that, right into the fridge. I walk past the warehouse, which is right next to my office, and we actually have students that sit in the warehouse to help people that come over to the warehouse if they need something, because we really don't want people coming in there and trying to take something, or because we're trying to keep track of the stuff, and that's a big process that we're trying to work on right now, is actually getting a good grip on the organization counts and stock quantities and everything like that of everything.
Well, that seems like that would be like first order of business kind of thing. Inventory, right?
Yeah, it's a problem because they keep moving the whole OIT department, and even now we're planning on moving in 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And apparently I wasn't here for this, but when they moved into this warehouse, they threw a ton of shit away, and they had shit scattered in closets all around the campus. And they finally tried to get it in a central location. And I mean, the last person in our position, he did a very good job of getting a good database management service that is good at keeping track of the assets. And we're working on some other software right now to keep track of the smaller things. But there's a lot to a warehouse that people don't really think about.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna receive the product, and a lot of the stuff is on accounting side though. Too.
We work with billing a lot.
Well, that's what I mean. I imagine all these things kind of coinciding, doing the same thing. That's why I assumed that inventory would be.
Well, he did that. Technically, that's part of our job. He did that whenever he was an intern at the company.
Oh, that you. I forgot you guys worked at the same place.
Smaller scale, yeah.
Yeah.
But here it's a big scale.
Same process.
Okay.
You order that equipment in, you create a requisition form. You got to go to get approval for the requisition form, and then you go order that product. Through whatever payment method, you'll receive that product in. You'll bring all the forms and packing slips and everything you need to accounting. Accounting will enter it in as an asset, and from there you enter it in your inventory side of things. Everything has to match perfectly. You label that product, and then it can be used in your environment. I mean, it's a very similar process across any company.
Well, yeah, that's.
But he does it on a larger scale than.
So you're saying that the problem occurs because it's on a larger scale.
I'd say so, just because we're keeping track of so many. We have a network team, and these aren't huge 1,000 people teams or anything. There's a good 10 people that are on our network team. 10 people on the server team. They have a web page team. Desktop support has probably the most because they go out and fix little problems. So they have some student workers that take care of little things. So there's a lot of little departments and stuff. And with all that being said about this process of the actual purchases, the university has a lot of their stuff set in stone now, how stuff has to be settled, especially because we're considered state.
Yeah.
So, and now the governor actually made a big bill. I don't know if it's considered a bill or what it's considered, but now we have to go through preferred vendors.
Okay.
So we can't just go buy shit off Amazon.
Oh, and so you're okay.
Yeah, and you have to go. We have a couple specific vendors that we go through. There's a couple, probably 2 or 3 in particular, we use very frequently. There's one in particular we use for networking equipment, server equipment, stuff like that, because they offer
that we used whenever you worked for.
I don't remember, because I didn't do too much purchasing when I was working there. But
I thought you did.
I did purchase 2 things.
We use PCM, CDW.
We use CDW a lot,
which is terrible because CDW has one of the highest markups of any company.
Yeah, so who makes the decision of where you can make the purchases now? Who making the preferred?
I don't know who made that decision. Obviously, CDW, they sell a ton of shit. They sell a ton of, computer parts, components, desks, office supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have Staples and Office Depot on our preferred vendors list. So now, zooming out a little bit, we have a system that has like a web page that has all the vendors on it that we can purchase from, and they have what they're called punch outs.
Okay.
And it's just like their website in a punch out form that opens up in a new window that has our prices, our negotiated prices.
That's probably what it is you just have accounts set up with those specific vendors. Not necessarily you're limited to only those vendors, but your accounting department most likely sets up those specific vendors, and that's it. And then you probably maybe request another
now it's very, we're not allowed, like we can't buy from
branch
Amazon.
out.
So the funny thing is though, we have our rep at CDW. If they don't sell something that we need, and we send them an Amazon link, like we've gotten packages in where they send us it as a gift, and then they just
order it, they drop ship it.
Yeah, just drop ship it. And it was funny just getting that. I'm like, he drop shipped these. They don't have.
Well, Amazon has their own business side of things now, so they have Amazon Business, and you can have Amazon Business Prime account, which is really helpful when it comes to very important things that need to be here within 2 days.
Yeah, we don't have that, unfortunately. We don't have access to that.
We have that privilege. But there's also like other companies. PCM is linked with Tiger. Oh, they own Tiger Direct now.
Oh, do they?
Or the other way around. I don't remember if Tiger Direct owns PCM, but they're linked together now. Newegg Business has a business side of things. Do you get to use Newegg Business at all?
No, we can't.
That's rough. Newegg Business has pretty good pricing.
Well, that's the thing though. I have a feeling there's not a lot of people in our position, like I don't want to say lower tier, but like we're not the ones picking out these companies.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's
it's the higher ups.
It's
but
not even like the higher up in the IT department. It's like people above them.
Well, that's what I mean. If the governor
too.
passes something that's making you only use these preferred methods, like someone stands to lose a bunch of money and someone stands to make a bunch of money,
that's
just on whoever makes that decision.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. That is a very big problem. We still have the ability. They call them P card purchases, where you can use a credit card for like
smaller things.
Yeah, for smaller things and stuff that's like we can't get it from our vendors. We need to buy it from them, so we have to buy it on a credit card. And just this year, and I've only been working there for 8, probably not even 8. Well, yeah, about 8 months.
Yeah, same 8 months.
And just this past summer, they started passing this like very strict, like we're not touching the P card unless it's our last resort. Like if we're paying $20 more desk, we're paying $20 more. It's just an example.
The way they spread out assets, the accounting side of things is not hard to interpret, but it's once you understand it, there's a reason why they do all that.
Yeah,
especially like Net 30, they want to spread out the cost of this asset instead of buying it all at once and seeing it on the credit card statement at that month. Then somebody higher up sees, why did we spend $50,000 on blah 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 this month when we could have just spent so much money over time.
Yeah.
So it's depend on like the depreciating side of things.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of systems set up for these kinds of things, and there's a ton of different accounts that we pull out of. So we have a list of, we have a work order account for specific projects, and typically we'll order out of that account, and then we'll have to rebill it. So we'll have to create a ticket, and we have a ticketing system to keep track of, people fixing computers, just to like keep in contact with the customer and see who left off of where. If this, service desk person is out, where'd they leave off?
Yeah.
Does this still need fixed? Was this completed? I think most IT or departments now are starting to use the ticket systems. I know when I was working with you guys, you guys had a ticket system going.
We have a systems management appliance called Case, but now it's owned by Quest.
I remember.
But Dell used to own it. Everything kind of got like merged.
Yeah.
So Quest is the name now.
We use a real shit.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called Footprints. And apparently, we're on Footprints 12. Apparently, this was an upgrade right before I came. And apparently, it's dog shit compared to Footprints 11, which is hilarious. It's like the whole iTunes thing. It's like, how do you keep consistently making something worse over the years? So every time there was an update on iTunes, I hated it more and more and more.
Cater to the wrong reasons. That's how they keep doing it.
It's funny that the people that they're trying to cater to don't even know how to use it, which is funny.
Oh, awful.
But yeah, so there's, I don't know where we were actually starting.
We were really getting into some deep territory there. I just want to get back to the basic actions of your day. So you get in there, and what do you have to start doing?
Like I said, we have students running our warehouse because we don't want people running in and out of there, and we need they have access to the keys to get into the warehouse. So we have someone come in an hour before, so 7 o'clock, the student will be there.
All right.
And during the school year, someone stays till 8 o'clock, in case someone needs to come in because they have our service desk open a little later. So I usually walk right past the warehouse and I'll say hi to the student if they actually showed up that day. They're good students, but sometimes they're students. They're just students.
I mean, are they getting paid in any way for this? Or
Yeah, they get paid.
It's minimum wage. I think it's work study.
Minimum wage?
Something like it. I think it's a little more. I don't think it's minimum here. But,
Really?
I mean, it's probably like 8 or 9. I'm not sure the specifics.
But I mean, they're nothing.
Yeah, well, their hour caps too are 25 hours a week. They can't work more than 25 hours a week.
Or
so they have a lot of restrictions. But and then I'll head to my desk and this comes back to the standing desk. I try to keep my desk standing all day because if I sit down, the day drags on longer. I feel stiff. I just feel like a piece of shit.
Is it like a taller desk, or is it one of those ones that like can sit like a normal desk and then adjust to a standing desk?
It's actually
Bear desk. Yeah.
It's not one that folds up or anything. It's actually mechanized. So I hit a button that goes up.
Veridesk makes it. Is it a Veridesk?
It's autonomous. They bought them. They got they're very affordable desks, and we bought a ton. Everyone in our entire OIT department is getting one.
Sweet.
And I just recently, the past few months, I bought desk casters, like the wheels for them, so we could put them on wheels and roll them all over the place. And that was like a preemptive. It was a real cool idea to think about. Like that, our CIO thought about that, considering he's like, well, we're gonna have to move. We're gonna have to move soon. If we put wheels on all these, we'll be able to move them around in the offices, and we'll be able to move them much easier, which is something. I wouldn't fucking think about that.
Okay, so you're at your standing desk.
I usually just get on there. I'll open up my email and see if there's any emails about anything. Because a lot of my job is waiting around, to be honest with you, waiting for either approvals from somebody, approvals from my manager, that other department that wants to buy something, their manager needs to approve stuff and give me an account number, what they want to pull it out of. And I also open up we use Microsoft Teams because we have the whole Microsoft suite. So for messaging, because you can instant message anybody in the whole university because they're all on it. Anybody with an email, you can just shoot an instant message to. And then I usually open up 4 tabs on Chrome. One is our actual asset management database because we put tags on stuff that have high value.
Yeah.
And I'll open up a to-do list that I try to keep track of my shit because there's just so much going on. Like I said, a lot of waiting around, so you don't want to lose track of something and then totally forget about it.
You're going in real detail.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it, and then
most of it's similar to what you did.
Yeah, it's just a bigger scale, and like we were discussing this before. Like everything's very departmentalized in this sense. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing a million different things. I'm doing a million different things, but I'm not doing
like us having 3 or 4 people to do every single task in the entire.
Yeah, I'm not going over and fixing someone's email unless I'm right over their shoulder and I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm technically not supposed to do it either. Technically.
Yeah, but people still grab you.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm in the IT department, so like our building is OIT, and we share the first floor is OIT and the third floor is OIT. The second floor there's a security team and a some sort of finance team. I'm not sure what specific department. It's accounts payable. There's too many different departments on a university, but I digress.
Yeah, okay, we're back at 4 tabs in Chrome.
Yeah,
we got 2 down.
I open up the ticket system because we got to keep track of that, and I open up the purchasing webpage, which I don't want to give specifics because that'll give away the name of the university.
Yeah, you don't need to do any of that.
But and then from there, it's just like see where we left off the day before. Am I waiting on a quote from somebody? Because we talk with our reps a lot. Yeah, a lot of follow up. A lot of, do you need this? Did your manager approve it? Okay, he needs to actually approve it and give me an account number or else I'm not buying it. And then usually it's just good. For a while I was doing a lot of sitting around waiting, but now that I've taken over a lot of that babysitting the printing company while somebody that girl is on maternity leave for 2 months, I've taken that over, and that takes a huge chunk of time because there's almost 2,000 printers, if not more. Yeah. All over campus.
So I can imagine
we have
a lot of problems.
There's a tag on that where people are supposed to submit their service requests. They have a problem with their printer, and it's supposed to go to the company, and they're supposed to send someone out and fix it. Well, they don't do that. They might think they do that, but yeah, and sometimes they won't call the number on the side of the the printer. They'll call us instead. Just be like, well, you're supposed to call them, and then they won't do it, and then we have to do it. It's just a lot of back and forth. You'd think something on such a big scale, everything would be so set in stone. It's just not. Because they're just people. Everyone's just people.
Yeah, I realize people are just the worst. They're all terrible.
Everybody's just winging it.
Okay, so I think we have a general idea of what you're doing in your day-to-day, and there's no real set path. It's just you have to handle whatever you have to handle that day.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the same stuff. I mean, there are a lot of random things that could have pop up. Like we're trying to sell some old equipment now, which is a big process because we're working for the state. Anything that
normally it's recycled.
We have on campus there is a recycling and a surplus department. That's what they do, and we're technically being a state company or company quote like state university. We're supposed to give old assets like high-end assets to surplus to sell back to the community at a lower cost to give back to the community, quote unquote. But since some of that stuff is just so high value, and people just go buy it and they resell it anyway. They're not doing anything.
It's normally corporate equipment. Like it's not really consumer-based equipment.
Yeah, absolutely not. And so we've been trying to sell that to recoup just some of the costs so we can better the university in general. And on that same note, we're trying to right now we're actually in the process of trying to work out giving old assets to some of the schools, like local schools, like high schools.
Yeah, I mean that seems
like that.
Seems like a good usage.
Because they don't have a ton of money around us like the university does. So we have a ton of printers since we just updated our printer fleet. We have all these old printers and no one's buying them. No one's going to buy a printer the size of a desk for their home. If they are, they're a fucking idiot or they're doing something that requires that. It's very specific. And it's going to break anyway in their house, so they're going to have to call somebody.
That one little plastic piece.
Yeah, that plastic piece.
That inch of plastic just caused a $9,000 printer to
I just heard a situation this past week about the service guy came out and he said this little teeny piece was just giving you a little issue.
Happens with we have a Xerox printer, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same.
I fixed it with tape, lasted for 2 years. I finally replaced the part because the tape wore off. But it's one little plastic piece.
So I'd say it's a lot of, and just to give you a quick of what happens, like someone requests something. So like let's say the network team needs a new switch or something for somewhere, they'll request it. Their manager will approve it and give me an account number, and then I'll go buy it. Okay. And typically the buying process is if I can find specifically what they're asking for, or if they just need, I just need a 48 port switch. Doesn't matter what brand. Then I have a little more discretion about what I can buy. And if I can't find it, we usually reach out to our reps at these other companies.
Give you some recommendations.
They'll give us recommendations, or they'll try to give us a good price. If they don't have it, they'll try to find us it so they can drop ship it to us. A lot of that. And like I said, I do a lot of the small. I don't even want to say smaller and stuff because 2 weeks ago we made $1 million purchase.
$1 million purchase.
$1 million purchase. They just did a big. I don't know how much detail. They're installing a huge fleet of security cameras on campus. So we bought them all. You had to buy all the equipment.
They're not installing them though. They're paying a security company to install them.
No, in this scenario, we have our IT department is in charge of installing them. I think
Which part of the IT department though?
They have I don't know specifically what that department's called. It's mostly these two guys that are just going around installing.
Is it just replacement cameras? So they're not replacing all the DVRs, or they're replacing every single piece of the security system?
It's a lot of. They're adding cameras. They're adding a ton of cameras.
Okay, so they're adding it to the existing environment.
Yeah, and I don't know all the details of it because I don't know what they had to begin with. I thought there was cameras all over the place to begin with, but there's not.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, there are in high.
Yeah, like higher populated areas.
Like imagine there's cameras in the warehouse.
No.
See, why? Why would there not be cameras?
I mean, there's one at the door that not the immediate door from the inside, but the outside door. There's a camera out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're getting all those new cameras right now, and they're probably
those are high dollar. Yeah. So there's a lot of high dollar stuff, and I mean, there's some cameras in our big data center in the middle campus. There's another smaller data center in our actual building that I don't even think there's security cameras in there. There's
All right,
a lot
well,
of
let's
hearsay.
stop giving criminals ideas. Let's just move past where the cameras
It's
are.
secured to the door. You can't punch through this door. You have to have security card access from security. That's why our security team, actually, a lot of them are in the OIT because of all the security risks that involve an IT, because there are a lot. And I mean, even to go in the big data center, you need your tag has to be capable of the chip on it has to be allowed to actually have access to it. And then you have to type in a code, and then there's another door to get in there, and then there's a sign-in sheet.
Okay, so they're secure. They're pretty secure.
Yeah. So, and to come back to the job, I do the purchasing. We also take care of old equipment, selling, surplusing, recycling, and sometimes, typically, we'll go and pick up stuff too. If it's small stuff, I'll bring some of my students or something like that. If it's big, we have to involve our moving and surplus team. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's most of my day is waiting for requests or waiting for people to reply about something.
Okay, so we got like a little timestamp on when you start. When is your first break or lunch or whatever? What's the next thing you look forward to?
Typically, I've been bringing a salad and eating it at 11. Because lunch is usually at noon, but I want to get head start.
Are you just at your desk?
Yeah, typically at my desk. Depending if we only have 3 or 4 students that assist us in the warehouse, and we're not super strict about them having to be there.
Yeah.
Because we don't want them to lose their minds over this little job. That's not if they're having trouble in school or something like that, and they need a day off. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because we're there. As long as we're there, it's fine. So if there might be days where we have to scatter our lunches, where if one of us is going out, the other person has to stay. If there's no student to watch the warehouse. And I mean, other people have access to the warehouse if they need it, for emergencies and stuff. But typically, I'll just have that salad around 11, and then usually I'm just waiting for delivery guys like FedEx and UPS to come and drop off, pick some stuff up. And obviously, we track that stuff, as it comes in to make sure we received everything. Typical warehouse stuff.
Are you doing a fair bit of moving around, or are you generally stuck at your desk?
It's very day to day.
Okay, so it's whatever you get.
Yeah. There's a lot of, if we have to go pick something up, a bunch of surplus stuff that needs brought to surplus, and they're being flakes about actually going to pick stuff up, then we'll pick it up and we'll bring it to them. We'll typically store surplus stuff in our warehouse until they can come get it.
All right, so when are you wrapping up? When are you I'm ready to go? Do you have a specific time per day, or is it also depends on what you're getting into that day?
Well, I usually leave 4:45. Where I'm only supposed to be there till 5, but I usually get there a little early, so it's not a big deal. I'm just kind of I don't have to really. I'm not micromanaged that much. Our boss is lenient. If we have to leave a little early, it's fine. There's not. It's pretty lenient. I mean.
All right. Well, I mean that covers most of it. Do you have any stories of something crazy going on, or something going horribly wrong?
I mean, there's been some issues with these printing devices in particular. It's a big process. Updating our whole printer fleet. Since we had contracts with these printing service companies, we have to give some of those printers back because they're technically on lease. It's like leasing a car. You can't just forget about it and just trash it and stuff that still has value to that company. And we had almost sent up printers by accident to the surplus, and they almost sold them.
Oh wow!
And then we would have had to pay full price, whatever the bank. Yeah,
it's a 20-year-old printer.
Yeah, we have to pay $10,000 for it, even though it's not anywhere near that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That seems like it would be a pretty huge.
We had a couple scares. We're fuck, we got to go up to surplus right now, make sure they didn't sell them. And sometimes the thing is you bring something up to surplus, they don't know what it's worth, so they could sell it for $5.
They don't know what it's worth. It seems like that would be one of the biggest parts of the job is assessing its value.
I mean, we slowly have been helping them more, because our management is that's ridiculous. They can't sell that for that. But I mean, on the same end, I mean, they have 50 printers up there that they're not selling if they're selling them for what they're actually worth. So we try to give them a general idea of what they're worth, and I'll try to shoot for this, but don't sell it for $5.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, and typically there are some scares where it's like it's a bidding thing because it's a state process. So they'll put it on the website for $5, just because it's a bid, and then people
can go from there. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it might not happen. I'm not too much involved with that. Probably once it goes up to them, to be honest with you, it's not none of my fucking business.
Yeah, it's better than a landfill. So, all right then. Do you have anything like to add as far as job wise, and we'll get into the fun stuff? Like maybe advice for someone who'd want to get into this field.
Well, first, if you want to be in this in particular, the funny thing is, I worked right out of community college. I got a job in IT, and then when I quit that job, I went to work in a warehouse for a few years, and now when I went back in IT, it's kind of funny that it's warehouse and IT. So it's pretty much like you have to know a little bit of like what IT equipment is, what you're looking for, and stuff like that, and then a little bit of how inventory management works, because there's a lot of that. And like I said, we're trying to make a lot of more processes of keeping track of stuff, especially because of all the projects that go on the campus. I mean, they're trying to update this and that. They're building a lot. They're building stuff all the time. And then it's a lot of tracking assets. We actually tag individual assets like that are anything over $500 is absolutely tagged.
Oh, I mean, is this something you need to know beforehand? Is this like the knowledge to be able to assess?
I'd say so. I mean, yeah, because you're going to work with billing a lot.
Inventory management seems to be pretty similar across all boards of, IT work in general. Everybody wants to keep track of where their stuff is. You don't want stuff going missing, because then you're responsible. Why did that go missing?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, well that's a pretty good wrap on that. Let's just do some fun stuff and get out of here.
All right, let's go.
All right. Let's see. What's a movie that you viewed the most?
It would depend on my specific age at the time.
Okay, but, that's fine.
I watched Tenacious D probably a million times.
The Pickup Destiny movie?
Yeah.
What about South Park?
I can sing every song in Tenacious D, and I can sing every song in the South Park movie too. Just because, and I watched it probably way too young.
I remember.
That's beside the point. Those are probably two of my favorite movies.
All right, those are good answers. What's the best advice you ever got?
Best advice I ever got. I've gotten a lot of good advice.
We'll throw a few out there.
Don't ever think about how it's hard to word something like this, but it's like, think about putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Just think of yourself, if you went through somebody's life the exact same way they did, you would turn out exactly like they did. So when you really think about that, it's just like, oh yeah, that's why they're like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't give people excuses for being assholes, but it's just like, okay, I know why they might be.
Yeah.
And might have a hard time with life.
No, I get it. I've met people's parents, and I'm like, oh, that's why you're like that.
Yeah, that's a big proponent.
Okay, what kind of toothpaste do you use?
Here's where we're gonna get weird. Okay, I use Clay toothpaste. It's called.
What is Clay toothpaste?
It's called Earth Paste. Is the brand.
All right.
And it has clay in it, and there's not a bunch of chemicals and stuff in it. There's no like whitening additives or any. There's just a little bit of mint oil, like essential mint oil, and clay and some other stuff, so it doesn't taste like shit. And it works,
how is it? Like,
great.
What's it like in your mouth?
A lot of people that try it because they're like, "Hey, I'm out of toothpaste. Can I have some?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can. You're gonna bitch, but don't bitch about it if you're gonna ask me for toothpaste."
Well, describe it. I'm curious. I've never heard of that.
It's got a little weird texture to it. I mean, it's not like, and honestly, I don't really like.
Do you feel cleaner afterwards?
I feel fine. I could brush my teeth without toothpaste and feel fine.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people
are
like,
weirdo.
Yeah,
moving on.
very big health nut here. So,
what's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear. Not accomplishing everything that I hope to accomplish in the world before I die, even though I don't know what that is, which is probably the scarier part.
Okay, I like it. There's levels. Okay, candy. You could have any kind of candy you want. What are you going for?
I'm a big chocolate fanatic. Does it have to be candy, or is it just dessert in general?
You can go for it.
Man.
I do love Oreos, but there's something about a chocolate chip cookie
That counts as
amazing.
candy.
Really?
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'll give you a
it's sweet.
candy.
It's a sweet.
I'll give you a candy though too. A Reese's cup is
Reese's cup.
Pretty solid.
wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has anything bad to say about a Reese's. What kind of music do you listen to and why?
I listen to a really weird range of music. Because I'll listen to.
You give me a default. You're just in a bad mood and you just want to like put on
It's
something.
usually
like,
a lot of metal. Like, and there's so many genres of metal. We
yeah.
could go too deep into this too. It's not like black metal or like. I don't know. It's mostly like that metalcore and then branch out into like some
Probably be, like,
screamo
heavy,
stuff
wouldn't
too.
it?
Huh?
Just consider just straight heavy metal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd just say heavy metal. I can listen to most metals.
Okay,
Like,
what draws you to that?
just the if you've ever been to a metal concert and the energy that happens at a metal concert is beyond anything. I also play guitar, so that's a very big aspect of why I like metal so much.
Okay.
Guitar solos and just chugging on the guitar and stuff. There's a lot to that, and I want to play drums and piano and stuff too. Haven't gotten around to that just yet.
All right. You have a pet peeve, just in general?
Stupid people,
Just
in general.
I mean,
It blows my mind how fucking stupid some people can actually be.
I 100% agree with you.
It's a big problem. Even drive, like I don't know who gave a lot of these people licenses to drive.
that's
blows
one of
my
the.
mind.
I hate
I had
that.
3 people cut me off on the way here.
3.
3.
Wow.
And it's a
I'm
25-minute drive.
I'm surprised it was just 3. In fact.
Yeah, I mean you're like what 40 minutes away, something
It
like
was
that.
like 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yeah, it's long enough to get in a road rage incident.
Yeah, there's a lot of just stupid. I just don't understand how some people would be so stupid with all the access to knowledge we have nowadays.
That's the problem. Is they have everything doing everything because of their the knowledge base of all this technology and stuff. They have everything doing it for them, so they never understand or never try to understand things.
The laziness of people has a big factor
There you go.
to stupidity too. I think.
Oh, that's a huge. And the society has kind of shaped it so it like
Doesn't
lets
have
you
to.
be lazy.
Yeah, and I consider myself a piece of shit when I don't do anything on the weekends, but that's people's every day. But
they're out there.
I digress on that one too. Like that.
All right, what's the hardest time you ever laughed? Just the first thing you could think of. It doesn't have to be.
Just not popping in my head right now. There's so much. Just like it's usually dumb shit that just when I'm hanging out with me and my friends, like especially just playing like Uno with my friends. We're all trying to play a happy game of Uno, but we end up just fucking each other with like stacking draw twos.
All right. Cocktail. You have a cocktail preference?
Been a big fan of just a screwdriver. Or
Okay.
just
Easy, simple, delicious.
yeah, and recently I've tried coffee bourbon on the rocks, which is incredible.
It
I'm
is-
not a
it
huge
is quite
bourbon
tasty.
fan,
I never
but,
had that.
It is amazing. You love it.
Yeah,
you
you
can buy a
it's
bottle.
very good.
Yeah.
Let's see. If I gave you $1,000 right now, what would you do with it? And if I gave your 18-year-old self $1,000, what do you think you'd do with it?
So here's the thing about giving my 18-year-old self $1,000. When I was going to university, like community college, I had grants that were pretty much paid for my community college, because it wasn't that expensive, but it's still pricey.
Yeah.
But they gave us grant money for books, and I wasn't about to spend $200 on each book when I didn't need to at all. So I spent that money on a guitar and a couch. So that's probably what I would have done with $1,000 at 18. Nowadays, I would probably save some of it and probably spend a chunk of it on a course that I wanted to take for a while, something like that.
Okay, like
There's
an
a lot of
online one or one of the ones
Yeah,
at the
there's-
university?
No, definitely not a university. Just like there's a lot of like health courses I want to take, and
Like what? Throw a couple out.
For physical training.
I one of the big things I eventually want to do in the future is learn holistic health. I know it's a big thing.
Like becoming a nutritionist, essentially. That's
Yeah,
what
except actual real knowledge and not what like shitty companies that are paying the universities to teach you. Like whole wheat bread is not healthy. It's not a health food, but people think it is. And it's just not.
contains unbleached flour, essentially.
Even like 100% whole wheat flour, like the food pyramid itself is upside down.
It's
Completely
insane
upside down.
that
It's
we've been
insane.
lied to for so long, because I remember that being such a big deal back in the day of the food pyramid, and it's just like you shouldn't eat just bread and pasta in that ratio to fruits and vegetables and whatnot.
And when you
or
have
vegetables, right?
when you have like the whole reason I even went down the whole holistic route was because like you have an issue. If you have an issue, like I had just a small issue, and I'd go to the doctor, they'd give me something that would just cover up a symptom.
Yeah,
and it doesn't fix the root cause, and then you're buying this thing to treat the symptom for years and years and years, and it's just not.
Yep.
And then I did the research myself and found out, oh, this is all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to go like conspiracy routes or anything like that, and like they're just companies trying to make money.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
that's
and it is what it is. Yeah, it's just what happened. I mean, I do think the pharmaceutical industry is way out of control, but it just is what it is. It's a capitalist country, so it's just how things work now. I mean,
they try to make the most money. I mean, you sell the cheapest thing possible. If it's cheaper to manufacture and it gets people, it tastes the best, they're gonna sell more of it.
Well, the same thing happened to me. Like I got a bunch of like heartburn medication when I was in like high school, and it just made my stomach hurt. It fixed the heartburn, but it didn't solve the problem. The solution was just eat better. Yeah. Like, don't eat that shit that gives you heartburn, you idiot. The doctor didn't say that once. They were just like, here's a bunch of prescriptions.
That's the other thing. They don't say anything. They don't ask you how your diet is, how you're eating, if you're exercising.
No doctor has ever asked me
that's
what my daily meals are.
What really bothers me. Do you work out? And that could be a big thing, too. It's just like a lot of people don't know how to work out.
Yeah, a lot of people are lying. I imagine there's a fair bit of lying.
There's too many factors into it, and knowledge is power when it comes to a lot of things.
Okay, moving on. Let's see. You have a tipping custom?
20% typically, unless they're just real shit.
All right,
if they're assholes. Like even if you're just like having a rough night, that's fine. You get 20%. But if you're being a total dick,
yeah.
You get what you get.
What's something you wish you'd learned earlier? Something you know now?
There's a lot, especially like health route and.
We'll just throw a couple softballs out there.
Just like diet is a big factor in your health. No matter what anybody says.
Yeah.
A lot of the doctors are just prescribing things just to cover up symptoms, and it's nobody's fault. It's just a lot of people are looking for a quick fix, and sometimes that is the quick fix, but it's just a lot of covering up of symptoms. But if I were to go back and just tell myself, be a little more social and get better at talking to people, maybe 6 years ago that would have been a better, made life easier. It just would make life easier.
Absolutely.
Learn how to socialize, take care of yourself, and
it's hard to do that too.
Don't blow all your money.
It is difficult if you don't know how to get started with something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll wrap it up on this because I know we're kind of running out of time here. If you could do anything, like any job in the world, what would your dream job be?
It'd probably to be like have all the knowledge to be like a good holistic health professional. Because I mean, it's a lot of people don't like think it's woo woo, and there's a lot more knowledge out there. Like I don't know it all, but if I could gain access to all like that knowledge, and I had the years of experience, I think that's what I slowly do want to transition into.
Oh, I think that's a very reasonable goal. That's as far as dream jobs go. Well, this was fun. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.